So, how do we manage to live in a 500 square foot apartment in Japan with three cats and a baby? It's actually a lot easier than it sounds, and I'm going to show you guys how we make it work in this video. We only moved into this place a couple months ago and haven't really had the chance to decorate or change up some of our old furniture. You'll probably notice that things still feel a bit bare in each room, but my goal in this video is to show how you don't need much to make living with your family in a small space actually work. This view from the entrance kind of gives you an idea of how small the apartment actually is. We're going to start with the living room, and the first thing I want to mention is that our son Luca doesn't actually have his own bedroom. That might seem unusual if you live in a Western country, but it's actually pretty common in Japan. So we end up spending a lot of time together in our living room. This shelving unit and the storage bins are from Muji, and I bought them while pregnant because I knew they'd be really great for storing and organizing my son's things. All of his toys are basically in this little area of the apartment, and we all share the shelf space as well. So here we're sharing some more shelf space with Luca, with a bunch of his picture books and then some of our books and things towards the top. And off to the side here, you've got the kotatsu, which is a heated table in Japan, and we do have to finish baby-proofing that. And then here you've got the cat posts and pretty much the best view in the house for the cats. Okay, moving on from the living room, we have the balcony, which I'm extremely grateful for because our last apartment didn't have one and it made hanging our clothes out to dry pretty difficult. So from the balcony, you can actually access our room. The room is actually pretty spacious, surprisingly. We opted to keep our bed for the move, but we are planning on switching to two double futons sometime soon. Luckily, this room is big enough to comfortably fit them. A lot of families in Japan will actually share one bedroom, often sleeping side by side on futons. We've also been co-sleeping with our son since day one, which explains the lack of a crib, but I'll talk more about that in a bit. Okay, so here we've got another storage bin with cloth diapers. That's only around half of them since the other half was out hanging to dry outside. So we do both cloth and disposable diapers. Let me know if you'd be interested in me making a video about that in the future. I'd honestly be happy to talk about our experience with cloth diapering in Japan. This is both my son's clothing dresser and changing station, and we just change him on our bed or on the floor. So this might seem a little extra, but these are heated wet wipes, which I highly recommend if your newborn or infant hates diaper changes as much as ours does. So this is the setup that I mentioned. It's just easier to save space. No actual changing table needed. We either change them on the bed or on the floor. And yeah, it's worked since day one. So as I mentioned earlier, we opted to keep our bed and installed these bed rails around a month and a half ago when my son started crawling. Before that, we took the legs off the bed frame and kind of turned it into like a floor bed to keep things as safe as possible. I'm planning on making a whole video about our co-sleeping experience in Japan at some point, but if you're interested in learning more about safe co-sleeping, I highly recommend the book Safe Infant Sleep by Dr. James J. McKenna, and I will link it in my description. These closets are a game changer. We had one single tiny closet in our last apartment of almost a decade, and it barely fit anything. Having this space has been incredible, especially to store bigger baby items or clothes that no longer fit our son. So this is mine and my husband's clothes dresser that we also probably bought around 10 years ago at IKEA. And this is a basket that we have for some of Luca's things, as well as his gauze towels and blankets, which he's loved since he was born. More of his essentials. Just nice to have a place to keep these smaller items organized. Oh, and in case you were wondering, there is tatami flooring under this puzzle playmat. Unfortunately, cats and tatami do not go together, especially elderly cats that cough up fur balls at random pretty much every single day. So we opted for something that Luca could also comfortably play on if he wanted to. So sadly, for now, these things have to stay. Okay, on to the kitchen. It's definitely your standard tiny Japanese kitchen, but we've managed to fit all of the things that we need. Two complaints that I have are the lack of counter space for cooking and how high these kitchen cabinets are. I'm 5'8" and I struggle to reach the back of the lower shelf. So I'm assuming that most elderly people or kids would need some kind of folding stool. Mugs and baby bottles for when I used to pump, and very minimal kitchenware. We literally only have 3 plates and 2 large size bowls. Luca has 2 bowls and 2 spoons. There just isn't any space for extra, and I'm okay with that. It makes for less dishwashing. So, if it was up to me, I would actually make the sink a little smaller and I would extend that counter space, especially because we do have the electric stovetop to the right and it does take up a lot of room as well. Um, so, cooking can be a bit challenging at times because of this, but we try to do what we can with the minimal space that we have. So, this is just another shelving unit for Muji for some small kitchen appliances. This is really cool. It's a device that controls hot water, and you can even start a bath by pressing this button. So you can essentially run yourself a bath from the kitchen. We have another one of these above the actual bath in the shower room, and I'll show that to you guys in a bit. Okay, last Muji shelving unit. They're just very convenient, so we have filled our apartment with them. But this one is for some more, I guess, small sized appliances, most of which we got secondhand. This stove here is getting pretty old. We did buy that one secondhand. We're probably gonna have to change it soon. And we have a bread machine and food processor as well. And that's pretty much it for our kitchen appliances. Nestled between this old pink fridge, which I'm not going to show you guys because I do really dislike it, and I do plan on changing it soon. I'll probably make a whole video about used appliance shopping in Japan at some point. But anyway, nestled between the fridge and the living room are the litter boxes. Not the most ideal location, admittedly, but the only one we had to work with in this tiny apartment. We did buy this air purifier slash humidifier combo, I guess you can call it, to set down next to them though, which I highly recommend. Keep your house humidified, guys. Next to the entrance to the apartment, which is called a genkan in Japanese, is the laundry room slash sink slash bathroom and shower room. Let's talk about this drum type washing machine, which might seem like a very common household appliance in the West, but isn't as common in most apartments in Japan. First of all, it doesn't actually fit in the base. My husband had to create a makeshift stand for it, and it's being held in place by bunched up towels on either side of it since it tends to shake a lot from not being in an actual base. We also have to tape the detergent drawer every time we use it so it doesn't open from all the shaking. Real sketchy, but it does the job. Now, you'll see that it's a 2.5 hour wash, which may seem like a really long time for Western washing machines, but is the only hot water setting you can get for this type of machine. That's because the washing machine actually heats up the water internally. Washing machines in Japan tend to not have a hot water setting because there's only one cold water pipe connected. Most people here don't have hot water settings for their washing machines. We ended up switching over to this washing machine from a standard top loader before our son was born because we knew we wanted to do cloth diapering and that we need a hot water setting to wash them properly. I do not recommend these because they tend to be too big for the washing machine bases in most apartments, and a lot of moving companies refuse to move them because they're so heavy and bulky. So next is the bathroom or shower room, which I absolutely love. It's your standard Japanese shower room, but I love the floor space in the shower part. Luca loves sitting and playing with his toys here before I wash him. The bath is also a standard Japanese bath, and it's nice and deep. Also really easy to take baths with Luca in here, which we've been doing since he first left the hospital. On this wall is the other device that controls the water temperature and allows you to start a bath by pressing the middle button. I love this thing so much. I never have to worry about the water being too hot for Luca. So the last part of the apartment tour is just your standard Japanese bathroom, where the toilet is separated from the sink and bath. It's definitely less narrow than my last bathroom. Um, we bought our own shower toilet because we had one at our last apartment, and I now find it really, really hard to live without them. So that's it for my apartment tour. You might be wondering why we chose to live in such a small space with our family. Well, the rent is cheap, and we're in the heart of the city. Oh, and did you see that view? Also, keeping things more minimalistic with a baby has been really nice. We have no choice but to be more mindful about the things we buy because we just don't have the space for anything extra. Everything we own has a purpose. Also, our goal is to save for a house here, but that's a topic for a whole other video. Thank you so much for watching, and please feel free to comment down below if you have any questions about my apartment or my life in Japan.